All right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. All right, today we're going to do a video on first-time offensive coordinator, first-year offensive coordinator, picking offense. We did one on defense about a week or so ago, and a bunch of people were interested in it, and they asked me if I could do one on offense, so I'm going to go ahead and do one on offense. That's what we're going to do today. Check out our partners, GameStrat, sideline replay company system we use. You're looking for a highly reliable, highly affordable sideline replay system. Make sure you check out GameStrat, see why everybody is making the change over to GameStrat. I think you'll thoroughly love the product. Dome, Headwear, which is the hat company we use for the school that I'm currently at, Bishop Kenny High School, and for our Play Fast Football stuff, completely customizable. You can design your own hat on their online hat builder. So if you want custom, if you want to be able to change the style of the hat, the colors of the hat, you want to change the enclosures in the back, it's fitted, it's snapback, it's Velcro, whatever you want, they can put embroidery on there, so completely customizable. So check out Dome. Baker Sporting Goods, a local sporting goods company we use here at Bishop Kenny High School, and I've used them at my previous high schools. You can get all your coaches' gear, all of your players' gear, all of your fan gear. Our uniforms are distributed by them, so you can get everything you need in one convenient location, so check them out. JustPlay, which is the playbook software we use at Bishop Kenny High School, and I use it on my Patreon site for Play Fast Football as well. It's a unique teaching tool. You can use quizzes, videos, diagrams into quizzes to help gauge the understanding of your players on your playbook and game plans. And it's also the best play drawing tool on the market, so make sure you check out JustPlay. DifferenceUSA, the ultimate striking machine. You get thousands of reps without needing a partner. You set them up in we have them in our weight room here at Bishop Kenny High School, so you set them up there, or you could set them up on the field. Perfect for in-season skill development, off-season skill development, elbows in, thumbs up, eyes where they need to be, hips doing all the things they need to do for proper striking mechanics. Different coils that change as kids get stronger, so you can change how hard it is to lev the pad in. So make sure you check out DifferenceUSA. And if there's anybody else that's out there and you're a company that wants to market into the football world and you want the exact demographic, all right, hit us up. You can leave me a comment in there, or you can reach me at Twitter, CoachMac8740. Send me a direct message and we can talk about promoting and advertising for your company. So we talked, the last time we talked about from a defensive side, being a first-year defensive coordinator, things that you would look for. And now today we're going to talk about being a first-year offensive coordinator and things that I would look at. So I think the first thing you got to look at is, what is the philosophy of the program? Who's the head coach? Okay, so you know, there's several different situations that might occur for you to become a first-time offensive coordinator. It may be on the staff that you're already on, and you know the head coach, you know the philosophy, you know how the team wants to play. If it's a job that you're interviewing for, and you're going to be a first-time offensive coordinator, well, you need to understand who the head coach is. What is his philosophy? What does he think about offense? What type of offense does he want to play? And obviously, in the perfect world, I think we always want to look at being somewhere where the head coach wants to do the things that we want to do. Our philosophies are similar. If you are getting a job and the head coach is different philosophically than you, then you're going to have to adjust some of the things that you do to kind of play towards the style of football that the head coach wants to play. So first thing I'd be looking at is this a job? Do I know the head coach? How long have I known the head coach? Do we agree on offensive philosophy? You know, or is this a job that I'm taking because it's an offensive coordinator job, it's a new school, I don't really know the head coach, but I got to figure out what his philosophy is and what he thinks about how he wants to play offensive football, because at the end of the day, it's his program. All right, so the second thing is, what do you believe in? All right, and I kind of look at it two simple ways. All right, I think you're either going to be a zone team or you're going to be a gap team. All right, so if you're a zone team, you're probably going to be predominantly inside zone, wide zone, and you're going to live in that world. All right, if you're going to be a gap team, you're probably going to be a power counter, buck sweep team. Maybe a duo team. So to me, it's kind of, you know, what do you believe in? What style of offense do you want to run within your offensive blocking schemes and your run game schemes? I think that's the most important to me. When you get into the passing world, there aren't a ton of protections. There's only a few protections you're probably going to use. Now you need to look at, you know, what kind of dropbacks you're going to carry. Are you going to carry quick game? Some other things that we'll talk about in a little bit. But to me, I always start with run game. Who are you in your philosophy of run game? Are you a gap guy? Or are you a zone guy? So you kind of need to figure that out and figure out which world you're going to live in and then go from there. Are you going to be a tempo team or kind of a check with me team? And it's kind of a broad statement, but you know, the bottom line is, are you going to try and play with a bunch of tempo? Are you going to try and play as fast as you can? Are you going to try and change the tempos? Or are you going to be somebody that's a little bit more methodical? Maybe you're a shifts, motion, trade team, check with me, get yourself into the right play. I don't think there's anything wrong with either one of them. I think you just need to kind of go down one road and major in that and maybe minor in the other, right? So if you're a check with me team and you like to use a lot of formations or a lot of shifts and trades and motions to get numbers and grass, leverage, angles, all those things, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You can still carry some tempo deals. You probably just won't live in it. If you're a tempo team and you want to be operating at a very high pace, you're looking at maximizing your reps in practice and maximizing your reps in games, getting as many snaps as you possibly can. To me, I would think, now you're going to have a check with me world or a freeze world that you might live in. All right, but that's not who you are. So to me, you got to kind of separate it into those two things. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to be heavy tempo, or are you trying to be a little bit more multiple and create your advantages with grass, numbers, angles, leverage, changing formations, shifts, trades, motions, different things like that? I think you're going to be somewhere one of those two. You can combine them a little bit, but I don't think they run 50-50. You're either one mindset or the other mindset. So again, tying that in with the philosophy of your head coach, which direction are you going to go? What type of offense are you going to run as far as those things are concerned? All right, then we need to look at the personnel. Okay, obviously, what is our personnel? In the high school world, we know our personnel is going to change. All right, we know that graduation and not controlling who's coming in ninth grade, we know that our personnel is going to change. So we need to pick things that, to me, the year in and year out high school team should be able to do. And then when we make that decision, there should be enough within our base offense that says, all right, if our personnel is this, we can run the ball more. If our personnel is this, we can throw it more. Regardless of the personnel, you've got a system. You know where you want to hang your hat. Some years you run it more, some years you throw it more. But I think your system should be able to encompass all those things. If you have to make changes, like I talked about in the defensive video, if you got to make changes every year or two to your system because of your personnel, then I think you're going to lose the continuity of teaching kids within that system the things that you need to do, the blocking schemes and route concepts and, all the things that build good offenses, right? Because we only get these kids for 4 years in high school. We get them in ninth grade. And if you're at a place like our school, a lot of our ninth graders coming in haven't played a ton of football. They're playing more flag football. So when we get them, we only have them for a small window. 4 years is not a really long time. So I want to be teaching them things on either side of the ball that have some continuity and some building blocks from 9th through 12th grade, all right? So that's something that I would definitely be looking at. Now, within that personnel, do we have an athletic quarterback? If we feel like we have an athletic quarterback, we're going to look more into read game things, whether it's zone or gaps. There's plenty of read schemes in both, all right? And then we're going to look into more movement passes, all right? We're going to figure out ways that we can move him around, and get him where he needs to be. Now, within the zone world, all right, I think, when you look at that, within the zone world, you become more of a, off the wide zone stuff, probably more of a keeper, bootleg type team. In the gap world, sometimes you become more of a play action team. But if I've got a quarterback that's athletic, I want to tie read game into it because I know as a defensive guy, anytime you have to defend option football, whether it's double option, triple option, or RPO, double option, run pass stuff, anytime you have to have guys in a position to make reads and play assignments, that's always going to be tougher, especially at the high school level. So I always want to carry some version of option football in my offense, right? So if it's an athletic quarterback, it's going to be read game principles, and then it's going to be more movement passes, sprint out, bootlegs, get him where he needs to be. If I have a quarterback that throws the ball, now I'm going to work more RPOs and more action passes. I'm probably going to keep him in the pocket. If he's not as athletic, then instead of having him read and run the ball, when he reads, he's going to throw the ball. So we're going to run the RPOs or maybe the PPOs where we're reading things, but we're throwing passes off of those things that we're reading. All right, I'm not going to ask him to play against his skill set. Now, the interesting thing in that, the unique thing to me, is I'm going to tie all my same run game schemes to it. So I'm not going to change my run game because my quarterback's not a runner. If we're in the zone world, now we're going to run more split zone. We're going to run more insert. We're going to run more wham or crunch or, trap some interior players. Those are the things we're going to carry, all right? And then off of the wide zone, I would be more of an action team. We can still boot them when we need to, but I would be thinking more action-type passes. If I'm in the gap scheme world, now we're going to be looking at bash. We're going to be looking at power read. All right, we're going to be looking at counter read with the bash concepts. Maybe if we're a dart team, we're going to be looking at reading and things. Now we're going to try, all right, and in the gap scheme world, athletic quarterback world, now we're going to try and read things and carry those reads in. If I've got the throwing quarterback and I'm in the gap scheme world, I'm going to do all the same things. I'm just not going to have him pull the ball. So now we're going to run RPOs off of our counter, RPOs off of our power play. All right, might even change the counter play. Instead of running GT with a quarterback that throws the ball, I might be, more of a GYGF or OYOF, however you want to look at it, and now pull the guard and the sniffer or the tight end and not the tackle, because if I'm not going to read off a GT, I may not carry GT if it's not going to be a bash scheme. So now if this kid's going to throw the ball, I may run counter, and I may run it as GYGF, and I may carry that into my RPO world, right? So I don't think my schemes are going to change. I'm either going to be gaps or I'm going to be zones, but what I'm doing with that quarterback is going to have a lot to do with, the style of play within the gaps and the zone schemes. My scheme's not going to change. Once I go somewhere where I say, hey, this is what we do, we're a zone team, we're going to be a zone team. It's just a matter of whether we're going to be a zone team, a zone read team with a lot of boots and keepers, or are we going to be a zone team that blocks the box and we're throwing RPOs off of those things. Okay? Who are my linemen, my backs, my receivers, right? Every year that's going to change. You're going to get some years where you have some big physical linemen, you feel like you can run the ball. Then you're going to get some years where you have some linemen that you probably can't get a lot of movement up front. All right, so maybe we've got to go to a little bit different scheme, or maybe we got to look at creating better angles and leverage. All right, but we probably won't be able to live with running the ball as much as we want to. It's going to be years where you got really good backs. Maybe you got to be a 2-back or a 3-back team. It's going to be years where you don't have backs, and maybe you got to be more of a 1-back or an 11 team or a 10 team to play the other players. Who are my receivers? Do I have good receivers? Do I feel like we can win on a perimeter? Do I have one guy that I can isolate out wide? Do I have a guy in the slot that I like that I can run on option routes? Do I have a bigger body maybe at a wideout that I like blocking perimeter screens and things, and then he can catch the ball intermediately underneath in traffic? All right, so who are my receivers? That's going to change every year. But usually in high school, you can usually find, in my opinion, you can find a couple good receivers, all right, and you can usually find a adequate or really good running back. Lineman is the tough part. Tight ends, fullbacks is the tough part. Just in my experience, 25 years of high school football, those are the two spots that make it really difficult to find. All right, where are we going to hang our hat? I think every offense has something that they need to hang their hat on. I know you're going to talk to guys and you're going to say, well, it depends each week on what the defense gives us. All right, well, I think offenses need an identity. I think you need an identity play. I think you need an identity scheme. If it's inside zone, it's inside zone. If it's power, it's power. I think you need something to say, hey, this is where we start day one. This is where we hang our hat. If you're throwing the ball, then to me, it's that first drop back concept that goes in and says, hey, when all else fails, this is something that we can run week in, week out. When we're better, when we're worse, man teams, zone teams, 2 high, 1 high. This is a concept that we feel like we can carry week in and week out. Now, obviously, you're going to have to carry other things and not let the defense just out-scheme you and sit in a scheme that is not conducive to what you do. But I still think you hang your hat on something so that when you go into that first meeting, all right, and you bang that hand on the table adamantly about who we are, you've got to hang your hat on something. We are a gap team. We are going to be physical. We're a zone team, whatever it is. All right, we're a drop back passing team that's going to throw it 30 times a game. Whatever that is, you got to sell it. Your kids got to know that's your belief, and they got to know that you 100% believe in what you're going to do, right? So what are we going to hang our hat on? Okay, play complementary football. If you're a coordinator and you're not a head coach, you're going to have to learn very quickly how to play complementary football. And what I mean by that is how the defense takes care of the offense, how the offense takes care of the defense. Okay, if you're in a situation, I was in a situation as a head coach where I called both sides of the ball. Well, I don't have to worry as much about playing complementary football because I really don't feel like I am screwing the other side when it's me calling the plays. I know why I'm aggressive on offense or why I'm aggressive on defense. I know why I'm doing the things I'm doing. When you're just a coordinator, you have got to put a plan together that can keep the other side of the ball and special teams in mind to say, hey guys, this is how we play football. So if you're a ball control team, all right, then maybe on defense, you're not going to take as many chances. You're going to be a little bit more bend, don't break. All right, we're not trying to outscore the world, so we don't need to create as many opportunities on defense from a exotic blitz movement, standpoint. You're going to play a little bit safer. all right, in your defensive approach. And if you're an offensive guy and your defense is that kind of style, well, then we probably don't want to get into a shootout. All right, so maybe we want to, matriculate down the field, take time off the clock, use the play clock to our advantage, snap the ball the least amount of time left on the clock. All right, those two things got to fit together, especially if you're just a coordinator on a staff and there's a head coach and there's a coordinator on the other side of the ball. You can't put that team in bad positions. Yes, your style and your philosophy is your style and your philosophy. I get it. But I've just seen too many staffs at every level, college, NFL, high school, where one side doesn't match the other. They're constantly playing a different style of football that is not complementary to each other. All right, and on offense, they're high flying. They're all over the place trying to snap it as many times as they can, trying to score 60 points. Okay, and on defense, though, maybe they don't play a style that can match that style. All right, or whatever it is that you're doing. Complementary football to me is important for the cohesiveness of a staff. You want your staff to be a cohesive unit. There's a lot of bullets coming from outside. You don't want them coming from inside. So the last thing you want is your OC and DC constantly at each other. All right, about, hey, you keep putting us in bad spots. Why are you so aggressive? Why are you taking chances in our end? Why would you call that there? You want to kind of play complementary football and make sure that in all three phases you guys can take care of each other so that you have a cohesive staff, but you also have a great plan of attack. You have a great game plan that you are going after to say, all right, here's what we're going to do, here's how we're going to do it, and each guy understands the game plan. If you don't understand the game plan and you're just calling plays on offense or defense just to call them and it doesn't really fit the overall game plan, then to me it's kind of a waste of time. All right, and then all right, practice structure. Again, I talked about this on the defensive one. What are the periods going to be? What types of drills do you need to use in certain situations? How much are you going to have inside run and 7-on-7? Are you going to do perimeter drills to work on screen game or blocking a perimeter? And then each week changing those to say, hey, where do we need help this week? What do we need to do? Maybe if you're going to play a man defense and you've got to create a lot of stacks and rubs, and maybe you do a lot of 2-on-2 drills where you get in stacks and you make them defend it and you're working on your picks and your rubs and your man beaters. So each week it's going to have to change, and you, as the offensive coordinator, you have to understand how to change practice plans, how to change drills, how to get things going when you need answers or you need things that you need to fix. And then as always, as any coordinator, you better understand how to draw scout cards. So you better understand what fronts a team plays. You better understand what personnel they have on the field, how they line up the formations, how they fit runs, so that when you put that group out there, you're working against the best possible picture for your offense and trying to put your offense in the best possible position, all right, to handle what they need to handle Friday night. So scout cards on either side of the ball is always going to be a big, big part of your job, along with how do I run a practice, how much time do I have, where's the emphasis, where can I fit these drills in, can I steal some time during these other units here, do we need to go back on a second day in the week and hit up something that was a really bad period for us. All right, those are all the things that you're going to have to look at within the practice structure. All right, and then here at the bottom, all right, I listed the guys, quarterbacks that are still playing. So Mahomes, Allen, Lawrence, Burrow, Hurts, Prescott, Purdy, Jones. All right, to me, a lot of young quarterbacks there, a lot of teams that went out and found their franchise generational quarterback. Okay, the team, at least at that level in the NFL, it's kind of built around the quarterback, and you better be right with your quarterback selections. In high school, I think we still should build the game around our quarterback, but we're not going to get a chance to select who we want. We're not going to get a chance to select the dual sport guy or the dual threat guy or the drop back guy. We're kind of going to get what we get, and we're going to take the one that puts us in the best position to win games, and then we're going to protect them around that. So to me, I look at this, these are a lot of really young quarterbacks, guys that have been drafted in the last 5-6 years. All right, maybe Prescott's the oldest of all those. All right, but these are guys that, to me, are more athletic than the status quo quarterback. All right, it's not just that sit in the pocket and throw the ball all over the place, although they all obviously can. I think these are guys that can extend. I think these are guys that can make plays when there aren't plays there. And I think these are all guys that have a great presence about them and some moxie to them, because you need that at that position. And the only reason I put that down there is because I still think as an offense you're going to be kind of quarterback driven. All right, now whether it's quarterback throwing, quarterback running, I still think the quarterback's the centerpiece of your offense and you're going to be quarterback driven. The NFL, those teams win, and the success of their franchises is directly tied to the quarterback that they have. All right, so on offense, I think you got to keep that in mind. Your offense is always should be quarterback driven. They should be the leaders. You should be focusing your offense around that. When doing that, though, I think you need to stay within your system. If you're a zone guy, you're a zone guy. Play to your quarterback strengths. If you're a gap guy, you're a gap guy. Play to your quarterback strengths. Year to year, make some changes. Maybe one year you throw it more, but you still carry a lot of the same runs. Maybe one year you run it more. You still carry the same passes, just maybe not as many, or you don't throw it as many. So I hope that helps some people out there if you're going to be a first-year offensive coordinator. Obviously, there's more to it than that. These are just some of my ideas, some of the things that I think about when it comes to being a coordinator or being a new coordinator. As always, guys, if you are not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. Ring that bell, turn the notifications on so you know every time we do a video or we go on YouTube Live. Leave a comment in the comment box. I always try and get back to as many comments as I can. This video was actually done because of people that left some comments and said, hey, you did that about a defense. Can you do it about offense? So make sure you do all that. Check it out. Thanks for being with Play Fast. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast. I'll see you guys next time.